Blog Talk Radio.
Good evening, everyone. This is me, Jonathan Alexander, and I'm here to host our show, Life, Laughter, Happiness. Today, I have my co-host, Barb, here with me. Are you there, Barbara?
Yes, I am. How are you? How was your day, Johnny?
Good. Yeah, it was good. I mean, the dog, it's like I really begin to bond with the dog. I mean, she jumps on top of me, and she starts kissing me,
You're lucky. What is the dog's name? Your dog's name again? Zoe.
Yeah.
What kind of dog is this?
A Labradoodle.
Oh, it's the cutest little thing. Now I remember. It has a lot of brown and white, right?
Actually, no, just white.
Oh, it's pure white?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, well, please send me another picture. But that's always nice to hear that people are enjoying their pets. And I was just telling Johnny that I love just bird watching because I have two little birds and they have each other, and I love all the treats I give them, watching them enjoy it. But if I put something new into their cage, they won't even go near it for about 3 days, and then they'll warm up to it. I watch them. I know their whole routine all day long, what they do, if they're happy. And they say these birds, these budgies, little parakeets, only live for 3 or 4 years. They are the healthiest birds. I think, I don't know, but they look so healthy. I've already had them for 5 years, right, Johnny, right when I got here? She had to have birds right when we got here. Okay, she's a senior now. That was like in 6th grade. So, wow. Oh, by the way, school starts tomorrow. And I revamped my daughter's whole room. If anybody's on my TikTok, well, I haven't actually put it anywhere yet. No, I made a little video. I just made it for her and showed her. And she loves her room, what I've done. And I'm lucky I didn't pull a muscle because I moved all the furniture around and redecorated and scoured and cleaned with solution all the walls and vacuumed literally for hours straight, and to really get it good. And she absolutely loves it, and she's going to have a great senior year.
And now the subject for today, I think what we decided is that it's going to be something called when someone changes gender. And it's a very hot topic right now.
Oh, yes, it seems like a lot of stories are coming out just all the time. And I remember my first time coming across somebody of that nature, and it was at work when I was a flight attendant. So I was only 19 years old, or 20 or 21 when I did it, when I was doing that. And it was a pilot. And when I was at the copy machine, I was having trouble with it. And he said, "Oh, you have to do this to it, dear." And I totally thought, okay, what gentleman is behind me helping? And I turned, and no, it was a man, but they were wearing a brown wig with the pilot gentleman's white shirt on, button-up shirt on, with the co-captain 3 stripes. And through that see-through sheer white blouse, man's blouse top shirt, you could see the white crisscross of the bra. You could see that. And then when I don't know how to address them nowadays, it would probably be, they would let me know. And then I would watch them help me with their very large masculine hands. That was literally, I don't know, over 25 years ago. So, yes, things have changed quite a bit. And I'm going to give you the floor now, Johnny, because today when we were having a conversation, you did say that you were very close, personally close with somebody who did make this transition, and I would like to hear about it.
See, the thing is that this had been going on for a few years. And one day this person started like wearing their hair very, very, very long. And, instead of like it's short. But the thing is that the part that's difficult is when it's one thing if a person wants to actually sit down and actually talk to you intellectually about it, wants to have an intellectual conversation. That's one thing, but to them, it's like a lot of times what I ran into is it's go along with it or they'll speak to you again, or go along with it or I'm going to hurt myself, or go along with it or I'm going to, unwind myself. The problem with that is that it stops any kind of intellectual discussion, and you're basically trapped. And into not being able to say what you think because you're worried you're always dancing around eggshells when you talk to the person. Is everything okay where you're at? Are you there? And
I'm sorry.
That's okay. But I guess that's my thing is that, every person that I've talked to that's been in this position has pulled one or three of those things. And you can't have a discussion that's intellectual when somebody does that. Does that make sense?
Yes. And, well, I am sorry I lost you there, Johnny, for a minute, but there was a little urgent emergency. I had to get up and get $2 for... Sorry. My daughter, I had to rush because she's going to miss the bus. She has to be somewhere and literally did not know where I put the pouch of change for the bus. So I was like throwing bills at her, and she's like, no, the bus. And I just, okay. Anyway, I had to step away and get that. She has run out the door now, and I am sorry. I must be honest. I did not hear your story. Could you just repeat it, please? Sorry, everybody. I really wanted to hear this about your close friend, or I don't know, is the family member
that I've ran into. A lot of the people. Actually, it's not really just one person. It's a bunch of people that are transgender. It seems like what they do is they get to the point where they're depressed, and then they do one or two things. They say, "I'm never going to speak to you again. I'm going to hurt myself, or I'm going to unalive myself." The problem with that is you're going to do whatever it takes to prevent a loved one from doing that. And because you're going to prevent, and you're going to want to doing things even though you may or may not agree with it.
So this was a loved one of yours? Can you just choose one of the many, many transgender people that you know and tell us how you felt? And hold on, Johnny, we are not judging here, okay? I basically just want to ask a simple question and start it off like that. It's not a judgment or opinion piece. It is, I would like to know, how did you find out the first experience, or one of the ones that stood out in your mind when you came across a transgender person?
Well, a lot of times what I've found, what stands out is they seem to be very into making sure. Okay, the thing that I found that I've ran into with them is that they want everybody to think that they are a particular gender, address them as a certain gender. In reality,
Okay, I'm Johnny.
But-
My mind was already wandering. Okay, can you choose an experience? How did you find out that somebody you know has turned from, let's say, a man to a woman or a woman to a man?
They tell
how
me.
did you
what
feel?
They do.
Did you care? Did you think it was no big deal? I mean, was it not a big deal to you?
Yeah,
this become so normal? I mean, you're not that much younger than me. I mean, 30 years ago, I was like shocked, and now I'm walking by them all the time in the day wherever I go. So yes, it has changed. It is a hot topic, but I want to hear about your personal experience.
Okay.
About one.
Well, what I've found is, like, for example, this is one person that's a friend of mine. You know, I was talking to them, and I said that he was telling me about how he just woke up one morning. He always felt like he was looking at a stranger, and that he was always, you know, not looking at himself in the mirror, you know.
Did he call you, or did you run into him? How did you find out that your close friend was all of a sudden different, or did you watch them go through the experience of changing?
Well, I didn't want him to go through it, but I really did talk to him about it, and I did. He told me that basically it was very. I mean, obviously, he says that he's very, you know, a different kind of a mindset now than he was before he changed. You know,
is he happy?
But,
well, earlier you were saying all the things you listed off were basically negative. So, but there are some people who are happy about it. Look at, I want to hear your story first.
Yeah. Okay. First of all, it's not just a matter of happy. It's a matter of like they pulled the I don't want to ever speak to you again unless you address me as the correct gender. And the problem with that.
Did they say that to you, Johnny?
Tell me, nobody did that to me, but I've seen people do that to other people. And it becomes very hard to have a little relationship with someone when they're making you walk on eggshells. Does that make sense?
Well, because you don't want to say the wrong thing, but you don't know how they're going to act because you haven't seen them even be this person yet. So are they going to be reactive if you make a mistake? Yes, it is like walking on eggshells, I can imagine. But if you just, you know, stay calm and maybe just keep the conversation light. Well, can't you remember, though, if they tell you what they want to go by, can't you remember that?
I mean, the problem is that some people just look like men and some people are just going to look like women. You understand? It's hard to, like, when they go through transition, you look at them and you can tell, like your experience with the pilot, they don't look like they've changed, you know?
Right. But nowadays, that was so long ago where they probably just patted the bra and did the best they could. But nowadays, they have the hormones, which is really changing people and the human body to where it even changed back. My question is, before your friend had changed into a trans or became a transgender, did you know? Right. Did he or she tell you before, and did you try to sway them in any way?
What I heard when this person was that it was happening, and I think generally what they do is they take a slow process. You know, they slowly put on the clothes. They slowly, you know, and then they change their name and everything, and then they slowly do it. It's a very slow thing. But
what do you think about it? Is it like what do you think about that? Is that a deep feeling that they just are the wrong gender and they just want to so badly?
I think they have a deep feeling that they're in the wrong gender, but I do think it's also a deep desire to be noticed. A lot of what I'm seeing, well, what happens is that, like this one person that's transgender that I know, I mean, he would be only happy unless you saw him out in a room. You understand? And
well, that's individual.
Yeah.
I thought you were going to start talking about the groups that my daughter, who is a teenager, shows me of many groups out there that they're making their own language up and they dress really nutty. Oh, yes, and they're dressing just really strange. A lot of them actually put complete suits on of an animal like you would see at an amusement. Yes, they do that, but they're so serious about it, and they really want to be that animal, and they'll do it all day long, and then they'll take off the hood to do their interview and say, well, I'll do whatever I want. I don't care what anybody says, and I don't feel like working. Why should I work? And just, I can't even think about all the ridiculous things that I hear. So I don't like that part of it. If they want to get noticed that way, I don't really like it. But I also did have a neighbor many years later, and I do understand where somebody has that deep feeling of that feeling. But I personally feel there's other avenues of where to seek help, guidance, like the Bible and Jesus Christ. That would be for me, but I would just not give a child under 18 without the parents' consent to just go and mangle their genitals. I've seen too many stories of people just regretting it, and there's no way back because even the hormones cannot be reversed. Kind of funny.
Have you ever talked to anybody that has regretted it?
No, not personally. Those two people are the only people, and the pilot, I do remember, hold on real quick, the pilot, I do remember, probably did feel maybe a little abused. I don't know the right word. Harassed. Okay, that's the word. Harassed at the workplace because when I did inquire, because it was a shock. I was a young girl. I never even heard of, probably hadn't even heard of this. I knew what a hermaphrodite was. That's about it. My dad told me about that. That's totally different than this, what we're talking about. But, so it had to sink in, so I needed to talk about it, and I did to a couple of favorite pilots of mine. And then they told me that people snicker behind their back, and all the pilots never do bid for working with that person, how you bid your line. Okay, the request of the trips you take for work. Nobody wanted to work with that person. So they probably did feel that. Maybe they didn't care. I mean, they came out that, to me, took whatever is going on in their mind, something. But there is courage to that. So if they have courage to do that and wear a wig and a bra and everything and say, hey, I'm a woman, when they know for a fact that they fought in Vietnam. They pilot. Right. So,
or they feel.
Yeah, and that was a little hard for the pilots to swallow. Okay, and here's my co-pilot. Well, all right. You get my drift on that. But then when I had the neighbor who was Helen, and you could really tell was very masculine as well and tall, but I understood, and I really understood. Helen really had something inside her that was just tearing, like just something just was never settled. Never settled.
The thing is, Yeah, the thing is that a lot of it is very hard to understand. I will tell you this, like, and this sounds like it's off topic, but it's not. Like, I have OCD, and a lot of people don't understand it. I mean, so when somebody feels like they're in the wrong body, I gotta say that's hard for some people to understand. It doesn't mean it's not real. It just means that it's hard to understand.
Everybody has a little bit of both, I think. And I have been with even a celebrity who used to be proud and say, I am really in touch with my feminine side, as they crossed their legs in a very feminine fashion. And they were known as one of, like, the heartthrobs of America. So it's fine. And I do love
this is somebody that you knew?
Yeah, a little more than that. We'll leave it at that unless you want to talk about exactly who your person is.
Well,
okay.
I think that it has to do with the fact that it's hard for somebody to understand. It's hard for when you have
it's
feelings.
It's not that hard. I was getting to that. Okay, I was talking about how he was in touch with the feminine side, how we both have both, and I would like to make the other example of how I like the masculine side of myself. I think dressing androgynously is really cool, and it feels good. Like, your hair's coiffed and, like, pinned back. You've got the men's suit on and, maybe a feminine style of suit, but just that look, I like the trouser look. I think it's classy. I like having even a tie. I have ties, like men's, but a woman's tie, but tied in the man's fashion. I've done that many a time. So I love that. I like the penny loafers, Manolo Blahnik. I get into it. I like the plaid. And I like I don't do the baseball cap much because hats bug me unless I'm playing the sport. But, I like the lumberjack outfit look. I mean, that's the tomboy thing. We all feel it a little bit. Now, tell us a little bit about your feminine side. And there's nothing wrong with it, Johnny. I mean, a lot of men like to keep their nails buffed, which adds a shine to them. I think that's great. I love a man's hands like that. Tell us a little bit about what you do.
If I was to say something about, the only thing I would say that I do is that I do tend to get along better with women than I do with men.
That's
because
one.
It has to do, I think, with the fact that I don't have that much in common with men. I think that the fact that I'm more of a team player than a leader, it's easier. It makes it easier to bond with women a little bit easier, whereas the men are, they're more likely to want to take over everything and want to run everything.
You feel then that's the gentle side that appeals to the women in your life.
Yeah, I would say that,
Yes.
Yeah.
So you're gentle, which you find can be more of a feminine quality. I like that. See, that's just being in touch with your sides. And so, you know what? I understand it. And say times that by 10 or 20 because something's different inside of you. And that urge is like more than just buying a man-style suit for me and you being a gentleman. You know what I'm saying? There is this pull. So I am not here to judge. I am here just so we can talk. We are a talk show, and I find it to be interesting. That's why I wanted to get to the very specific things that you've encountered, because maybe somebody listening can relate to it, and we can maybe talk about it and understand a little better and help however we can. Do you have anybody really close that you see often that has done a change? And if so, can you tell us from what gender to what?
Well, I mean, most of the time it's from man to woman. I don't know a lot of cases where it's a woman trained to a man. I will tell you that one of the D-trans people that I spoke with wanted to become a man, but decided against it because of what happened when she transitioned her voice. The hormone, in fact, it hurt her singing career.
Oh, was she able to go then get her voice back after she stopped the hormones?
Take a little bit, yeah. See, what people don't know is when you take those hormones, it affects your brain.
Then you never really know how. Just like concussions, like I feel a little different, but I don't know. Is it because I'm a year different in age, or is it because I got my head hit? So you never really will know unless they start doing studies, because people are going at this like gangbusters. It seems like a lot of it, wouldn't it have to be just experimental? And then there's a lot of side effects later, like just with digestion. There's all different ways that your body works, urinating and just doing everything. I've seen stories on that, which are very sad because they're more like the gender that they wished that they could be. It's just, you're never going to be able to change all those organs and be exactly like that. No, and you might clog things. And I've heard if things get clogged and then there's infections and people are dying from the infections that they cannot contain, or they cannot get that out of the person. And they're really dying too. So there's going to be more studies out there. I would just try to hold off the best you can and get a good support system around you. And thank you for talking with your friends. You said you know many, but you don't cross paths with one certain one too often.
Yeah.
So when was the last time you talked to a person who actually regretted it?
Oh, it was about a month or so ago. I talked to her. She basically told me that, it was very, very sad. But I'm going to tell you something else. It's like you don't hear a whole lot about people that have regretted it. Too much. You don't see them. You see them talked about, but you don't see them. Like, for example, did you ever see the movie Shrek?
Yes, I love Shrek.
Okay. Did you see Shrek 2?
Yes.
Okay. The guy that plays Prince Charming in that movie, and also in My Best Friend's Wedding, the gay guy,
I don't remember that.
He thought about transitioning when he was younger.
And you've seen interviews on that?
Yeah, I've seen it discussed. He thought about transitioning. You can look online on this. And
is he advocating? Is he advocating to not?
He's advocating to not. Yeah, he's a D-trans person.
Well, you can find out anything if you search it up.
Yeah, but that's you don't see many of them. You see a lot of trans people, but you don't see a lot of D-trans people. Actually, the people talking.
Do you want to see a lot? It only took a few for me to realize that people need to be careful, and we're letting our kids do this.
See, the reason why it's important to see them is because this is something I can't figure out. Maybe you can help me figure this out. Whenever there is a rally against transgender people, there's always concerned parents holding up signs to say, "Stay out of my bathroom." But what you don't see is a lot of D-trans people out there actually holding signs. Now, I've tried to interview D-trans people. I've really tried, and it's like they don't ever want to do it yet. transgender people are so easy to interview. Now, the reason this is important is this. If these people are so miserable, why are they so hard to interview? Because they have First Amendment rights to be interviewed.
Maybe they just feel like it's a private issue. They would like to keep private, and not everybody wants to be interviewed. Yes. They're not all in the entertainment business at all. They're just normal people. They get nervous if people in the room look at them, or they have to maybe say the prayer at dinner. I mean, no, they don't want to be interviewed about their sex.
It still doesn't change the fact that they have First Amendment rights to be interviewed, And I can tell you that the excuses that I've heard is that, they'll be pressured into silence. I don't know how they could be pressured into silence. I mean, Now, you may not
never
agree.
Will be.
People may not agree. Yeah.
They never will be.
But
I guess here's my point. I don't care, really, because I don't have to go tune into TikTok and watch the ones that are, wow, that's pretty nutty. I don't have to. But when it comes to laws letting children go and have a surgery, if they can conjure up, I don't know, any money, or is this covered by the health care in America now, sex change operation, and they don't even have to get a parent's permission slip like at school when they have a field trip, okay? So that, am I wrong for not being really shocked and appalled at that fact?
It's a little bit shocking, yeah, because you start to realize that, this is a very, very big change. I mean, for example, a tattoo used to be that you can't get it if you were 14. I mean, I don't know if your daughter could have gotten a tattoo when she was 13 or not, So
that's true, and now they just changed the law for cigarettes. You have to be 21 in California, which I think's fine. You used to only have to be 18, but you can go really dismember yourself or start chopping things off. Okay, sorry to be blunt, but
that's okay. I mean, I think what you should say is disfigure yourself.
Well, earlier I said mangle.
But anyway, did you want to do the shout out?
Sure. Well,
okay.
Thank you, Johnny, for sharing, because I know it's very important to keep people's privacy intact. So asking specific questions does not let on to who anybody is. We just merely wanted to find out a little more about our experiences. Maybe, listeners, you have related to some. Thank you. Please comment. Come on over to our social media. We have Life, Laughter, Happiness Facebook. It's Life, Laughter, Happiness Radio on Facebook. Please come. We also have a private group for Life, Laughter, Happiness there. And we are on Twitter and Instagram as well. Thank you for following us here on Blog Talk Radio for all of our alerts. And we'll see you Friday for Psychic Night with Psychic Dale Shear. All right. Thank you, Johnny. Have a good night.